Good morning, everybody. It's time for Miss Hood's Monday Morning Rant. And I don't even know if this is really a rant. This might be just, I don't know. Because I'm not really angry about it, but I'm surprised at the response that I got when my kids came over to celebrate Mother's Day with me. We had a really, really fun day. Of course, they took me out to dinner, and then we went to the gravesite of my mother and my first mother-in-law, which was my son's grandmother. And so I had flowers, and we put flowers on the grave sites, and I said, Happy Mother's Day, Happy Mother's Day. And somebody made a comment, I don't know who it was, but they said, how can you be happy in a cemetery? And I thought, what? You don't understand? Wait a minute. Now, I was busy. I was cutting the flower in so it would go in the cup, and we were struggling with getting the cup out and all that stuff you have to do, and finding water. And so I heard the comment, but I was distracted by other things, and so I didn't get to say anything. And when the day was over and everybody went home, and I was at home thinking about it, I wonder how many people don't understand why we have cemeteries. It's not just a place where you put the body of your loved ones after they passed. It's a place of remembrance. It's a place of memorial. Now, we're Christians, and we all believe that when our ancestors leave their body, that they go directly to heaven, because there's a scripture in the Bible that says, absent from the body, present with the Lord. So we know they're not in the ground anymore. They're up there having a blast. I'm going to tell you something. Heaven is a blast. You think earth is fun? Oh, heaven is 1,000 times more fun, and the devil doesn't get to be in heaven. And he is our biggest troublemaker anyway. And every time in the Old Testament, every time something happened to them that they wanted to remember, they put a stone up as a place of remembrance. So that's why you go to the cemetery, and that's why you have a gravestone, or yours might stand up, your ancestors might stand up, might lay flat on the ground, and it is a place of remembering. You go there to remember. And it's also a place to honor their memory. When I go to the cemetery and I see grave sites and they don't have anything on them, no flowers, no nothing, and I visit cemeteries a lot because I like going to that place of remembrance. You can call me crazy if you want to, but I never ever think of the cemetery as a sad place. Now, when you're going through the funeral, and when you're putting their body in the ground for the first time, yes, you are grieving. But as time passes, your grieving time, your grieving time becomes less and less. And so you go there to remember all the generations. And the same thing with your grandfathers. So, I mean, that's really not a rant, but if you're out there and you don't go back to the cemetery in remembrance of days of remembrance, like birthdays or Mother's Day or Father's Day or Thanksgiving, we went to my mother-in-law's grave first. When I was married to her son, we would, after Thanksgiving meal, we always had Thanksgiving meal at lunchtime in the middle of the day, dinner instead of supper. And after Thanksgiving, after we got the table all cleaned up, Grandma would say, "Come on, we're going to the cemetery," and we'd walk to the cemetery, which maybe a mile, 2 miles an hour. But that's what we do after every Thanksgiving meal. We would walk there and walk through and remember the people that had an impact on our lives. And they remembered the stories. And we'd all remember the stories about Grandpa and Grandpa Hood and Grandma Hood and, all of them. We would remember them. And it was a pleasant memory. It was a tradition. And I loved it. Trekking to the gravesite every Thanksgiving was very, very precious to her. I knew it was a precious thing to her. So I was thrilled when we were able to go to the cemetery and put flowers on her grave. If you've got loved ones and they've gone, and the funeral and the funeral service and putting them in the ground and the finality of they have left you, and if you're a Christian or if they're a Christian, they've gone on to be with the Lord. Going back to the cemetery might be a problem for you, but as time passes, it's so good to go back and share the memories. There's a lady that I like to listen to, and she has pink hair. Now, she claims that she's been to heaven over 1,000 times. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I know she makes me feel so good. Every time I listen to her, I love listening to what she says about heaven. Now, is it true or not? I don't know, because I've never been there. But I don't really have any reason to distrust her. Every scripture that she's quoted so far has been in line with what I know. But she made a statement that the people who have gone before us, they are watching us from heaven, especially on holidays and birthdays and celebrations like that. She said there's something called a portal where it's like these circular things. You climb these steps and you look over the railing of the portal and you can see what's going on with your family. And so there's no time or distance in the spirit realm. There's no time or distance in heaven. But they know when you're celebrating and they watch. And I have a family member that recently had a death in the family, and it was a surprise. Nobody expected it. And so I was talking to this woman who passed. I was talking to her granddaughter, and we were talking about going through the stages of grief, and she made a comment and said, I'm fine. I said, no, you're not fine. You're not fine. what the pink-haired lady said. I said, because she was talking about it was really hard for her on her son's birthday that her grandmother wasn't there. And I said, well, this is what I learned. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I could see her being there at that birthday and that holiday. So this is Mother's Day weekend, and she was struggling. And when I shared that with her, she goes, oh, that makes me feel so much better, because I really didn't get to say goodbye. And I said, well, now you can. Now you can make her part of your celebration. And what would Grandma be doing right now if she was here with us? And I told her about the fact that we all know that Jesus is building our mansion, and he's getting it ready for when we leave here. And what the pink-haired lady said was that your relatives who have gone before you will get gifts for you, and they will take them and put them in your mansion. And it was the big joke of the family that Grandma was always going to the flea market or going to estate sales or going, and she would buy stuff. She told me that one year they had 6 snowsuits for the baby. She said her daughter was sad because she missed great grandma, and she said, I told her what you said. And the granddaughter says, well, I won't have any room in my mansion left, because Grandma will have it full before I even get there. I won't get to decorate anything myself. And I said, tell her that every time she fills a room, Jesus just adds another one. There's plenty of room in heaven. I wanted to share that with you, just in case there's somebody out there and you are struggling with your close loved one. You just recently sent them on to their heavenly home. I want you to know that they are so happy, and the one thing they wish for you is that you be happy down on this earth, finish your journey, finish your purpose, and then wave goodbye to the ones that you're going to leave behind and go join those who are dancing in heaven waiting for you. It's Miss Hood's Monday Morning Rant. I will see you next Monday. Be safe, everybody.